Hi everybody, welcome to Personalizing Google for your classroom, and today we're going to be working on Google Slides. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get right to work. So you notice I'm right in a slide presentation. This is the one that will be linked for you. Also notice that I'm going to go off it, I'm going to work in it, I'm also going to edit it a little bit, so don't freak out if you go to use it and you notice that there's problems with it. It's all good. So, first thing, let's do our learning targets. We're going to, at the end of today's sessions, we're going to understand the parts of Google Slides, the layout and the view, just so we're feeling a little bit more comfortable. The purpose of a presentation software, because I really feel like the pedagogical part of this is so important. Ways and how to create a new slide presentation, lots of simple things, and inserting images, videos, using some of the cool features that exist within slides, really to help us with what we want to do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into present mode. I'm not going to work out of present mode, but I'm going to show you what it looks like. So you notice you have lots of regular features, looks a lot like PowerPoint, and you have a present right here, which is Control F5, which is the same thing for PowerPoint. So it's right here, and you notice I can just use my arrows to go through. So pretty quickly, I am just pushing arrows on my keyboard. I also can do them over here. You also can use a pointer. You can also use a clicker. But I am going to come out of this mode because we're going to talk about the purpose of a slide presentation. And really, as teachers, I think we've done a disservice to our students at times because we don't use PowerPoint and, in this case, slides in the correct manner. We have started to use it as a note taker because it makes sense. And there's really nothing wrong with that, but what we've done is we've taken a lot of text and we have put it on our screens. And for our students, that's really not the purpose of a slide presentation, a slide deck, a PowerPoint, even a Prezi. The concept is really that it's visual. We know that our students are visual learners. That's why they like computer-based testing, why they like their phones and their tablets, is because they're visual learners. So what we've done really as teachers, we've taken notes and we've put them on our slides, and they've become very text heavy. So really what we want to do is we want to walk away from that. So we want to really think visually. You will notice in my slides I do have text, but I don't have like complete thoughts. And really the purpose when you create a slide presentation is that it should be a memory or a way to stimulate your brain to think about what you want to say. These students that want to use text, or you want to use text, to use the speaker notes. To say I'm terrible at that, I never use speaker notes. I pretty much just present right off what I see, so because I know my presentations pretty well. But that's a hard walk for a lot of people, and I'm not saying that notes in PowerPoint aren't good. Or in slides. I'm just saying that that's not its actual purpose. So really one of the biggest problems that we have with students is that the first thing is that we say to them, okay, we're going to create a presentation, and the first thing our students do is they go and they make it look pretty. And that is a problem. Because if all they're doing is making it look pretty, the problem is that we are not getting what we need from our students. So what we really need is we need to talk about content, and that has to be our focus, and we have to worry about the pretty a lot less. So I'm calling this Stop the Insanity because that's really what it is. You notice my slide presentations when you do get to see them. They're content on a white background. I like you guys a lot, but I don't think teachers really care about transitions and animations and colors. I will change things up a little bit. I use the same exact template all the time, and then I just kind of vamp it out a little bit, and I work from that because I'm more interested about the content and about the pretty than about the pretty. So the easiest way to do that is to really set up an environment for students to learn how to do this. So you tell them, if you give me content within your presentation, I will give you an 80. Now you can change these percentages down. You could do 70-30, but you're going to show them how to make things pretty quicker. We're also going to allow students to work together in presentations, and so they're each responsible for a different portion of the presentation. And when you start to do that, they have the ability to teach each other instead of one student doing the entire presentation all about one component. When you do it that way, they're not having the chance to teach each other. So having students research content together and then divvying up who does what is a really good way to have students teach each other, because that's how they're going to learn in the real world. So the first thing we're going to talk about are ways to create a new presentation. So this is pretty much the same in all of the apps. You can go to Drive. So I can go up to Drive, and I can go up there in just a second. I can click this right here. I can go to Drive New. And you notice there is Slides. I can click My Drive. Whoop. I can go back. I can click this down arrow in my Slides, in my Drive, and I can get Google Slides. Or I can right-click. I can right-click to get Google Slides. Now, if you have watched me ever put in some components, we can also go to the waffle, and we can click on Google Drive, Google Slides, then click Slides again, and then click blank. Or you can open a new tab, and you can type in slides.google.com, then click blank. Or if you've noticed me creating these, sometimes you see me use this format right here, which is the one that I like the best, and it's slides.google.com/create. As soon as I do that, it tells me to create a new one. So you notice that we actually have 6 ways to create a new slide presentation. That means we also have 6 ways to create a new form. We have 6 ways to create a new doc, 6 ways to create a new sheet. So you need to find which one is the most efficient for you. You're going to use all of them, but I find that the one at the bottom is the one that I like the best, because I can be anywhere and decide I want to put something to the slide and work it that way. That is your own preference. I really feel like people should know them all and should teach them to students. Give them a couple, especially elementary students, start with a couple. Have them go through the waffle so that they know that's the way to go through things. Then teach them how to go from Drive into New, then My Drive into New, then right-click anywhere into New, and then do the other real specialized ones. Because if you're saving time, you're becoming more efficient and you're getting more done. So if I start a new presentation, so I'm going to open a new tab, and I'm just going to do this for a few minutes. I'm going to do slides.google.com/create, and I'm going to get a new presentation. You notice the first thing that's going to pop up is it's going to come over, and I'm going to get the sidebar for my theme. Now, what I like to tell students when I do this is that we'll put themes in last, because it's going to override everything I do. A theme will take over the font, and it will take over the background. So I really don't use them at the beginning. I use them at the end. And because then I can specialize. So this sidebar, when it pops up, have your students unclick it, and they'll come back to it later. So the first thing that always happens when I do a presentation like this, I do the real basics, and then I have everyone in my group. I divide them into teams of 4, and I have one owner in that group of 4, and they create the new slide. And then the other 3 come up with an area. I usually give them a topic, and they have time to figure out who is going to do what within that topic. So, for example, if I say to the students, or in this case it's teachers, you have a group of 4, so team member number 1, you are going to create the Google slide. You are the owner of the presentation. I want you to create a presentation with everyone will have 3 slides. So you have 4 members in each slide. Everyone have 3 slides. You will have a title slide and an ending slide. So you need 3 times 4, which is, they say 12, plus the beginning slide and ending slide, so you need 14 slides. So they're going to create a presentation with 14 slides, and then they are going to share it at Edit View with all of the teammates, and then they're going to share it with me at View or comment level. So you're doing 2 different shares. So the owner is doing that while the other 3 members of the team are working on the content. So I can say to them, you are going to choose an animal. I'm giving you until I count to 10 to choose that animal. 1, 2, 3, they have an animal chosen. Perfect. Then you're going to talk about the habitat of that animal, the diet of that animal, the appearance of that animal, and any fun facts about that animal. Okay? Who's going to do what? So they have a Post-it, they start to write down, I'm going to do fun facts, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, including they will be assigning something to the owner. So the owner will be doing something. They could take a Post-it, divide it into 4, put those 4 things, and put a name on it. That's good, because that is the division of labor. So everyone is working into the document collaboratively, and everyone's adding something else to it. Good. So by the time they get that all done, they will know who's going where. So the slide presentation will have been shared from the owner to them, and then they can begin to work on the slide. So the first slide is a title slide. Slide 2, 3, and 4 belong to one person. I don't care who. Slide 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7 belong to another. 8, 9, 10 belong to another. 11, 12, 13 belong to the owner usually, and then 1 and 14 also belong to the owner. They're in charge of putting information on there. So from that point, your students are going to begin to do their research. Now, yes, they are going to research from directly into slides. We'll talk a little bit about that more, but that's how you basically set up a structure for students to be able to work together collaboratively in a process. So the first thing we're going to really do is we're going to talk about what we see right here. So this slide that I am on right now is showing me all the components of a Google slide layout. So you notice over here, I can add new slides. So if I came in right here, I'm on this slide, it's outlined in blue. So if I clicked plus, I would get a new slide. Exactly, and then I am just going to right click on that to delete it because I do want to get rid of it. I do not want to have that new slide in there. I can also click on it and just hit enter, enter, enter. I personally think that's a much easier way to put in my information because it just goes faster. If I don't have to click on something and click on something and click on something, but I can select and hit enter, 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 then I can always change it. It makes things much easier. You notice I have toolbars. I did move my toolbars down here just so it's easy to see. So I have menu bar here, toolbar here, but all I did was move it down here. So when I open it up, I had that sidebar. So I have, this is my film strip, so I can see. This is the film strip, so I see where I am in the slides. This is where I do all my work in the slides. And then over here is the sidebar. I have a toolbar here and a menu bar here. Pretty simple. So it makes sense how that works. So we're going to come over here. So here's those 3 components. The film strip, the menu bar, and then we also have the speaker notes down in here because I don't have a sidebar opened up. So understanding how it functions. So if you want to work on a certain slide, you must have it selected. Now this is intuitive to students. It's really just adults that have problems with this. So let's say I put in a new slide right here and I want to change the layout because it's going to take the slide that I chose here. As soon as I hit enter, it's going to say, oh, you want another one of those slides? Okay, we'll create that for you. So that's what I have here, which is a title and a body. But if I want to change it, all I have to do is click up here into layout, and here is all my options. So because this is most typically the most used one, title and body, that's where it's going to go. So I am running off a master slide, so that's why you're seeing these things with all these little pictures in here. You won't when you're running out of a regular slide presentation. It'll say title and body, you'll have captions, then you'll have 2 slides next to each other. So this is title and columns. You'll have title only. So it's very easy. So students can go through and really change the layout as they work their way through it. Now, one of my favorite things I like about this is that you can see right here, once I click here and I click on a slide to work in it, those things all disappear and your toolbar extends. I'm going to show you that one more time. If I click on the slide over here in the film strip menu, so kind of in this menu here, I will see background, layout, theme, and transition. So here's a little note. If I change the background of something, I'm changing one slide. If I'm changing the layout, I'm changing the overall view of the slide. If I'm changing the theme, it's changing the entire presentation. If I'm doing transitions, I'm going from slide to slide to slide. That's what students get all crazied out about, is changing all that. So that's why, like, when you click here, that all disappears for the students. As soon as I click on anything, that all disappears and they have other options to make. Because we're worried about content, that's where we're going to start first. So this pulls up that full menu bar. All right, so let's just look what we have in here. The first thing we're going to see, we know what file is, that's pretty easy. We know what edit is, that's pretty easy. And then we see the next one. We see view, that's also pretty easy. So I can be in present mode, which you also have over here. You have animations, that's the one I definitely wouldn't teach the students. That's so stuff can fly in and applause, and that's great if your students finish earlier and their content is good. Then you could teach them animations. Because the real issue is, with a slide presentation, they're never finished. You can always make them better. You can always tweak them more. You can always do some other thing to them. But if our goal is content first and pretty later, animations are the least important component. If you feel like students really have a concept of getting the content in, they're doing a really nice job, then you can start to teach them how to add animations maybe to one slide. You don't want everything flying in and whistling and booming and applause, because it's overkill. It's not a cohesive presentation. What we want to get students to, using a cohesive presentation, it comes with time and it comes as they age, kind of like cheese. Good things take time. So as we go into insert, this is where you really see the bulk of what we can do. This is what sets slides apart, because it has all of these cool features. Now, the first thing we can do is we can insert images. And you can see, so I have insert, we get a selector arrow, and you get these options. So you have image, text box, video, shapes, tables, charts, diagrams, word outline. We're going to look through them really quickly. So the first thing is insert an image. So I have 4 options. I can insert from Drive. So I'm going to insert from Drive. And it'll say, okay, where are your Drive pictures? And it's going to go look for them really quickly. So I have one right here. And I'm going to grab this one right here. And I'm just going to insert it. You notice it just neatly went into the presentation very simply. And then I have it selected. Now I did this, I don't know if you noticed what I did. I grabbed it in the middle with the pull handles. The 4 arrows, sided arrows, will allow me to move it. And then I change from corner to corner. Always teach your students to change your pictures from corner to corner. If you do not do that, and you do it this way, it loses some functionality, as in it looks stupid, for lack of a better word. And I always tell my students, you want to pull from corner to corner to keep the parameters of the picture correct. If you do not, you end up with squatty and short, kind of like Mrs. Bond, or you end up with tall and skinny, kind of like Mrs. Bond's daughter, and they don't look correct. So when you pull from corner to corner, it always has the best look. It keeps the functionality of the picture. So now while we're in here, I'm going to teach you a couple other little tricks. You can always crop a picture. Here's the crop right there, and I can pull it down like this. So once I click it again, I can crop. You see crop handles come around. Perfect. I unclick it, and the picture has been cropped. Now I'm going to show you 2 more things that are really cool. If you have the picture chosen like that, use the selector arrow next to the crop. I can change this into a picture. I can change it into a shape. That's called masking an image. That's a great trick to teach kids as they come around, because it's really important for them to learn that. That really takes their presentations up a notch. Nice feature, so you can do shapes, you can do call-outs, you can do arrows. I can turn pictures into arrows. I can turn them into call-outs. So if you have like a think bubble, you can do all kinds of little options with them, which is really cool. That's kind of an above ground, kind of like over and above. So next thing, that's also a pretty. So I always leave it to the end. I teach them at the end to do that. The next thing is we can also insert from photos. So I can come in here. It's automatically going to go into my Google Photos, and it's going to say, okay, what do I have in here? Here's my Google Photos. Maybe I want to add this one in. So there's inserting an image from Google Photos. These are ones that I've already put in there. So like, again, the same exact thing. That's another option. Very good. So the next one is I can insert by URL, okay? So I can actually have a direct URL. I can put it in there. That's pretty simple. You can insert by camera. So I have my camera turned on now. I'm going to just tell you I cannot do that right now because I am using the video. But students can take a picture of themselves. They can insert it, and they can put it out maybe their last presentation page. Now I skipped all the other ones, which is I can upload from a computer. That makes sense. Everybody knows how to do that. And you can also search from the web. When you search within an app, as into docs, sheets, and forms, no, docs, sheets, and slides, excuse me, and you search within this mode, and I look for the word apple, it is automatically going to go out and grab an apple. And the benefit of doing this is that when you search this way from within the app, your images that you pull will all be labeled for reuse and modification. So if you are worried about copyright images with or copyright infringement with your students, that's the way to do it. So I can upload from the computer, you know that those are yours hopefully, or you can search from the web. When you search this way from the web, it's different than going to Google Images. It's different than opening a new tab, images.google.com. You are getting any pictures. They're not necessarily labeled for reuse and modification unless you're making that an option. So when you do it that way, it's really important that you understand that this has been labeled by the creator, that you can reuse it and it can be modified, which I just did by changing the picture size. I hope that makes sense, but teaching students that is really important. And you notice that searching from within Google is much faster than the old way we used to teach students to search from within PowerPoint, because we don't have to go change the images and then pull them in. It's automatically pulling them in. Okay, so the next one is inserting a video. So when we go down here to insert, we can insert video, and you'll notice you have also some options, and they are on the paper. They're in the presentation, excuse me, and they are search by URL and search by Google Drive. So at this point, you can add by URL, but it really does want YouTube videos. They're a little picky, but if I type in Grit right here, it's going to look to see where it finds all the videos on Grit. So here's the one, this is the actual one I know I want. If I click on play, I can get a preview. If I double click, I can get a preview of it. That didn't work. If I click on the title, I can get a preview. If I double click, it will insert it. So now I've inserted it again. I can change the video size just by clicking and dragging it around. So it's really a simple component. And then actually, if I right click on it and I go to format options, I can get a couple of options which are really nice. I can change where this video starts. A lot of teachers want this option because you may not want to watch the first 3 minutes, but maybe I want to start at minute 4, just like that. And I can autoplay when presenting. So if I have this in present mode, it will start immediately at the 4th minute and it will only play to the 6:13. And I can also mute the audio. So if there's something you want to watch, but you don't need the audio going in the background, that's really important. And you can still autoplay. You can change the size and position, and you can have a drop shadow if you would like a drop shadow. That's just to make it look really nice. So when you're done with that, you're all done. And then when I go into present mode, this will automatically play. It may not play today. Oh, it totally will.
West Point or the National Spelling Bee that Grit matters. It's also in school.
So you see how I just jumped to a new component? That is super important because I can start videos exactly where I want them. I don't have to put the video in and then move it over. The other thing that's really important about video is that you noticed when I'm in present mode, it's not going out to YouTube. It's automatically,
National Spelling Bee that Grit matters.
It's automatically embedded. That does not mean you have downloaded it and if the internet goes down, it's going to work. It means it's staying within the presentation. It's not clicking out. I don't have to click out to make it go somewhere. So that's a really nice feature, and you can tell it's from YouTube. It keeps the name of it up here as well as who created it. There's YouTube, and you can pull it. You can actually make them go full screen. So those are some really nice features, and this again is just the video options. The next slide shows these are the options that are in here, where you can start it and where you can stop it. So that's within images. I like to encourage students to find a good video to put into their presentations, and then to have it auto, to have them pick a place to start it from and end it, and then to have it in auto present and to mute on entries. The students have to talk about it, not allow the video to talk about it, because I think that's a great thing for students. So really I think the rest of these components here, like formatting, that's simple. Slide, you can create a new slide. If you're in a slide, you can create a new slide. You can duplicate a slide. You can delete a slide. And somebody asked me the other day, why in the world would you duplicate a slide? Well, if you created a template for your students and you wanted every student to have a different slide, you could create one exactly the way you wanted it, and then you could duplicate it, and then they could have a place to put name, and they would go in and overwrite it with name. If you were creating this as a hyperdoc, a slide presentation as a hyperdoc, which is a whole separate kind of training, that's how you would do that. Students would go in, and they'd each have their own part of it, and you would duplicate the slides so you had some of the same components every time. If you're doing a collaborative document, you want students all to work on it together, you could create one, duplicate it, put their name on the top so they know where they have to go. It just does make things a lot easier along the way. So slides duplicating, you could delete slides, you can skip slides. So if I was in the presentation and I wanted to skip this slide, say I was doing it for someone else, I wanted to skip this, that would go in when I was in present mode and I was here, and I went to present mode, it's going to skip right over that slide as soon as I click. So here we go, you see it skip that slide. That's a great thing to have in there. So all I have to do is when I right click on it again, I can unskip the slide and the slide is back. Pretty simple. Nice, depending on who you're working with. So arranging slides. So you find these tools are very simple to work with. So let's talk about some of the bigger things that we want to do within some of our slides. So you want to comment on a slide. Now, why would anybody want to comment on the slide? So I am not a huge proponent of editing anything with student work. I would rather that you commented down the side. So if I decided right in here that I wanted to add a comment, I would highlight and I want to send a comment. And I would just type in why only one apostrophe? That's hard. And I'm just going to say comment. So you notice I have select one apostrophe here and two here, which is kind of a note. I would probably just want to change it. And once I was done with it, or once a student was done with it, they would click resolve. And then it was all done. So you can see that that's a nice way to use it. So if I wanted to send something directly in here, I can do a plus sign. And then you notice all these emails pop up. So if I wanted to send an email to myself about fixing it, good job. Or however, you just reply, it automatically sends an email to that person. It's a very simple component, but if you're working in a collaborative document, you can have somebody change just one component. That is a nice thing to do. So what if I want to highlight something, or I want to hyperlink? So maybe I want to say paste the link, and I want to create a link to that to Google. So I click right here, click link, and I just type in Google. And it will say, oh, you want to go to Google? And it does some of the work for you. It looks for the hyperlink, and you just tell it to apply, and it automatically does this. The good thing about this is students no longer see the HTML, which I think is a nice thing, so they know they just have to click on it and go. And it's pretty simple. You also can just right-click and select link. So there's more than one way to do anything in Google. Next one is slides to PowerPoint. So what if I want to make my slides go to PowerPoint, my PowerPoint go to slides? So let's go look at that real quickly. So I am down here. This is my drive. We all know that I have a couple of slides in here that are PowerPoint. So this one right here, if I double click this slide presentation, it's going to say to me, oh, what do you want to do with it? So once I get this black screen, remember this is the preview. It says, I don't know what to do with this. You need to tell me. So I can open with Google Slides. That takes the PowerPoint into slides. That's all I have to do. Okay, so let's do it the other way. Let's take this one right here, this foresees collaboration, and I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to tell it to download. And I'm going to tell it to download if I can see it. So I'm going to, oh, I didn't want to do that. So sorry, I did the wrong thing myself. So I am going to open with, oh, no, I want to download. There it is. Sorry. I didn't see it the first time. I'm going to download it, and you notice what it says here, converting to PowerPoint. It automatically does the work for you if you are on a device that has PowerPoint. So that is really good to understand. Now, if I take this document, which is PowerPoint, and I make a new one in Slides, I have two renditions running at the same time. Once you take a PowerPoint and you move it to Slides, you want to work on it in Slides. You don't want to work on it in PowerPoint anymore, because then it is another document that then you have to open a new one. So that's just the confusing part of it. Once you get used to it, it gets a little easier. So easy to remember where you are. Using PowerPoint to Slides, remember you have a second instance of the presentation. Okay, so we're going to come over here. So we're going to go down and we're going to look at downloading options. So people always say to me, can I download this? What do I want to do? So I can go to File and Download As, and you'll notice I have like Microsoft PowerPoint. I can download things as a PDF. That's a great function. If you want to have components, you can do plain text. I don't know anybody that would ever use that. You can take a current slide and save it as JPEG. That's really nice too. Students do some nice work and you want to save one component of it, not the whole thing. That's the way to do it. They can save it as a PNG file. It's a little higher grade, and an SGV. I have never used an SVG file ever, so I can't think that teachers would, just so you know. You also have in here print settings and preview. So when you go in print settings and preview, showing you what it looks like. When we come back out here, you notice you have one slide without notes. So this is the thing that teachers ask me for all the time. I want to be able to create handouts for my kids. So here it is, 3 slides. You want them to go into portrait. If you have a background, you want to hide the background. I don't have one, so it doesn't matter. And then you want to download as a PDF, and you'll notice here they are. So you get 3 is the one that gives you the lines. 2 gives you this one that looks like this. I do like this one. 1 gives you 1 slide per page. Uses a lot of color. 9 slides per page is really nice if you're trying to save something for a student and put it in their portfolio. So you're not printing as much, and it really does take it down into baby slides. Or if they are working on kind of moving slides around, that's another really good one. So they can look at all of them. What I've seen teachers do with this, and I really like this a lot, they've taken these and they've cut them into pieces. So if teachers want to, if students have a really long presentation, they want to rework it, sometimes it's an easier way to rework it because they can see what it looks like, and then they can kind of rework it. And they also have kind of a snippet to kind of work. It's almost like index cards. It's a little different way. So you just close the preview when you're done. So that's print settings and preview. So the next one, so this is, I'm in film strip view, which is workspace, speaker notes, film strip, and then you have grid. Now a lot of teachers have said they like to print out of here. What I like to do in here is I like to move my things around. This is the part that is always called slide sorter in PowerPoint. It's the component that I have wanted forever. So glad when they put it back in, and I want to say it was September of 2017. This came back as an option. If you'd make it really small, you can see all your slides so that I can move slides around when I create them. So I can create them in any order, and then I can put them in an order that makes sense to me. I like that feature. That is probably one of my favorite things to have back, to have it all, because it was something I missed a lot. So when I get all done, now I can put a theme on. So if I come over here and I click theme, I can come over and you notice this is the theme I'm in right now, Simple Light. And themes, I am not going to pick one because they are, you can't really go back and change them. You can change some components, but you can't change them all, so I really don't want to put one in. You can also import a theme. So you can go find presentation themes, or you can upload ones. That's a really good one to use if you have found some. You can go out and find themes. So in my drive, I do believe I am going to do a little bit of searching. I have gone out and found some really fun slide themes. Here's one right here. I just went out and typed in, I went to Google and I typed in Google Slide themes. So here are some of the ones I have. So I have this one is new. That's a really cool one with an arrow. There's a neat one with, I just wanted a couple different ones I thought would be nice for me to have. That's all I did. It's pretty simple. Then you can have some kind of custom ones that are out there, especially if you're looking for something specific. I think that's always nice to have some of those. Let's see. Let's do a couple new things that came out just recently. A couple neat things that are out there is, let's talk about some of the tools. Now, if you use Keep, which is one of the tools we'll talk about later, once I click on Keep Notepad, your Keep notes will come over in here. So if I had things that I wanted to add in here and I had taken notes, I might say, oh, I really want to use this one, so I'm just going to click it and pull it over. It will pull the contents over of that information. See how simple that was? If you were using Keep to take notes on anything, that is a great thing to have. I'm just going to undo that because I don't really need it. But that is always a cool piece to have. So you can have students use Keep to take notes, and then they can bring it right into their presentation. It is awesome. Also can pull websites in. So if I wanted to just pull a website in, I could do that. So I can click here. I can add to slide. See what happened? It pulled that website right in. I don't have to go find it. I don't have to re-find it. And I could just hit here. All I did was hit space bar at the end of the HTML, and I got the link that I needed in there. So that's a great one. So that's a nice tool to have, and it is found in under tools. Another one that's in here now is add-ons. I just did add-ons this morning. Maybe you're going to take the add-on sessions. Remember, if I want to get an add-on, I could get add-ons. Remember, these are built right within the presentation. They're right within the Google app. Let's say I'm going to add Pear Deck. Pear Deck allows me to put in annotations or quizzes within my presentations pretty easily. And I'm going to say, yes, allow, pretty simple. And then it'll come over here, and all I have to do is click on Pear Deck. It comes up over. I register in, and I can start to do things. I could put a lesson in. I could put a lesson in at the end. It's very, very simple to use. Add-ons are awesome. They give us lots of components that are great to use. So the last thing is to really understand that collaborators, you can have 10 collaborators working in a slide presentation at the same time. If you have any more than that, it's going to be too many. I think 5 is too many, but that's me personally. The main number is 3 to 5. I think students 3 is good. 5 is okay. More than that is a lot. If you put 10 teachers in a presentation at the same time working on it, it's going to be too many. You don't want to pull your hair out. You can share with up to 200 by email. You can share unlimited by just link. But you have them working in the document at the same time, it's 10. Just important to remember. So if you have any questions, remember that you can always contact me via my 2 emails. We can always set up a WebEx so we can come in and we work together if something's stymieing you and you can't figure out what's next to understand what to do. So I hope this was a good session. I've been able to keep my times pretty much down under 45 minutes, giving us time to kind of jump in and be able to use it. So I hope this was good, and I will talk to you guys soon, and I hope you had a great day. Thanks. Bye.